This is a really, 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 really important lesson. So I'm going to apologize up front if this video goes long. I'm actually recording it for like the 400th time, trying to get it, the right amount of math in the shortest amount of time. The first thing for you to know is that third graders already know that division is repeated subtraction. So they don't need you to be like, hey, if I want to do 8 divided by 2, I just do 8 minus 2, minus 2, minus 2, minus 2, minus 2, right? They learned that in third grade. It made them feel so smart. If there are 4 2's inside of 8, they love it, okay? They're going to be fine. Maybe some kids will need review for that, but that's not why we're teaching this. This is to lay the foundation for long division. And when they do long division, okay, they are going to be doing it not the way you and I learned, okay? They're going to be doing it with understanding. So there's not going to be like 2 goes into 8, pop it up, draw it back, and they don't know what they're doing. They're going to maintain the place value, and more importantly, they're going to understand what these numbers represent. Because the truth is, this already is a whole bunch of numbers floating around, right? And over here, you get even more numbers, and they start putting numbers in crazy places. They start subtracting amounts they can't subtract because they don't know what the numbers are and what the numbers mean. So what you're going to basically do is you're going to take something we know in third grade. You're going to add some notation here with some words, okay, and relate it to a picture. So all of this with a picture. And that is going to lay a foundation for the long division. Now, I feel like I need to show you what the long division looks like just so that you're like on board here, right? So eventually what kids learn to do is they learn to think of this as the total. And when we do it at first, actually, we only talk about cookies because the kids are just like, they need something super solid to glom onto. And eventually we're like, hey, you could find other things besides cookies. But at first, this is cookies and this is people, okay? And we're like, okay, you want to give 864 cookies to 2 people. Let's think about the amounts of cookies. And we have to be like, okay, well, I could do, 2 times 1, 2 cookies. Like if each person got 1 cookie, that's too low, right? And then we say, okay, 2 times 10, that's 20. 2 times 100, that's 200. That's pretty good, right? 2 times 1,000, too many. And eventually, if they know 2 times 100, maybe they decide to do 2 times 400, right? Because this is an 8. 2 people, if they each get 400 cookies, that's 800 cookies that are gone from my total. So, right, this is my cookies for each person, per person. And now I have 24 cookies left. And maybe I know 2 times 10 is 20. Each person gets 10. That's 20 total. 4. And 2 times 2 is my 4. So all together, people can get 412 cookies each. And we even draw a picture for this. We even say 2 people. They could each get 400. 400, 800, that's 800 altogether, right? So like for each part of what they do here, they can mark here, right? And then they keep going. So now they're saying, okay, each person can get 10, that's 20, each person can get 2. So this is how they do long division. And you can see what we need to add here is the words. So we're going to talk about how this is the total. Over here, this could be our groups, or it could be our number in each group. It depends on the story. For right now, let's think of this as our groups, just because that's going to match what they eventually do with long division. And this is the number in each group. So they're going to do that. And then as they take away 1, they're going to really be thinking about what that means using a picture. Okay? So this is the goal. me show you how that really plays out as if you're talking to children, just so you can hear the whole thing. I'll just say one other thing, which is there are two kinds of subtraction. I hinted about that here. This could be groups, or this could be the number in each group. I am really intentionally making this the groups, and my picture has to match. If I start to switch it up and make this the number in each group, it's a different picture with a different meaning. It's not wrong, it's just a different kind of story. And I'm really grounding my work in the story, so I've got to be really careful. The reason for that is that there are two kinds of division, and we'll talk more about the two kinds of division in our meeting, but that is why it can be a bit confusing there. All right, so how could you prove that division can be thought of as repeated subtraction? Like, hey kids, raise your hand. You learned that division is repeated subtraction? Great. All right, you go ahead and you mark out what they tell you to draw, right? The 8 minus 2. And they tell you that it equals 4. Because there are 4 2's. And you're like, awesome. Now, we are going to use this to do long division really soon. We're going to end up needing to do 827 divided by 2. And you're going to be awesome at it. It's going to be so cool. But to do this, we've got to make this even better. And so what we're going to do is when we divide by 2, we're going to first put it like that. So 8 divided by 2 means 8 goes in the division box. We think of this as like a box. Maybe it's a box of 8 cookies or a box of 8 donuts. And then the 2 is splitting up the 8. The 2 is sharing the 8, right? So we're going to do it like that. And let's use some objects. And teachers, you're going to have real objects. Let's use some objects to model what is really happening when we take 2. Okay? I'm going to think of this 8 as my total. And this 2 could be a lot of things, but for now, let's think of it as 2 groups. Okay? So, when I want to make 2 groups, I draw the 2 groups under. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take 2, and what do I do with those 2? I put 1 in each group. So over here, when I took 2, that meant 1 in each group. Now, if we're going to be truly awesome, we better have some words to show us what that means. So up here, I'm going to write total. Up here, I'm going to write groups. And here, I'm going to write number in each. So far, I have 1 in each group, right? And then I keep going. So now I take 2 again. 2 is gone. But when 2 is gone from my total, that doesn't mean everybody gets 2, right? That means everybody gets 1. So it's really important that you keep these separate, right? This whole track is thinking of what's happening to the total, what's happening up here, right? And this whole track, what color do we want to use next? Magenta, ooh. This whole track is thinking about what's happening here. So that's the cool thing about division, is it's like you're keeping track of 2 things at once, right? All right, let's keep going. We take 2. That meant 1 for each. Here, right, that meant 1 for each. We take 2. That means 1 for each. So then all together, I add this up, right? There is 4 in each group. So over here, when I get the 4, it's not just 4. I'm thinking about what that 4 means in each. Now, teachers, you're just doing this for the rest of the time. Your work should look exactly like this. It's got the long division, it's got the words, it's got the picture, and you're matching them every time. So like here, you're going to have to think about it, right? Like here, we end up with 9 divided by 3. But the 9 is 9 people, right? And the 3 is groups of 3. So now, right, when I have my 9, and I take 3 away, that makes a group of 3. And think about what's going to go over here. That makes 1. These are my groups now. So the meaning can change, right? You finished doing it. We subtracted 3 students from 9 3 times. We subtracted 9 students into 3 groups of 3. And we're even going to say, this should remind us of multiplication, right? Every time we're really saying 3 times 3 makes 9. That's how we figure out 9 divided by 3 is what, right? And so you are connecting this back to multiplication. And then the same thing here. This is really important, right? When I'm dividing 45 by 9, I'm dividing dollars by dollars. And I don't get a picture like this. Oops, sorry. 9 groups with 5 in each. Even though that is a one way to divide 45, I don't have $9 with 5 movies in it, right? I have 5 movies that each cost 9. So the picture and the meanings all have to match up, okay? And then you're just gonna keep going.